Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is episode 150, kind of a landmark episode of my new Comics Haul series, where I show you guys all the new books that I pick up at my LCS every week. I've got 6 issues this week, pretty solid week of books. I've got some good stuff from Image, a few issues from Marvel, and then one from IDW actually that I'll get to at the very end. So solid week of books. I've got a lot of reading to catch up on, so honestly it's going to be a minute until I get to these. But we'll start it off here with Image Comics. Pretty big release is Duke number 3. So this is like the first of the G.I. Joe spin-offs for the Energon universe, which is also Transformers and Void Rivals. I've been really liking it so far. I think this is definitely stronger than Transformers in my opinion as like a new jumping on point for new readers. My take going into all the Energon universe stuff for these already existing toy franchises is not knowing anything about any of the characters, because I've never read any comics or watched any G.I. Joe or Transformers like movies or shows. But I feel like Joshua Williamson, as a writer who's doing this and the Cobra Commander series, has been doing a good job getting us filled in on Duke as a character, kind of his position since he's been like traumatized by witnessing a Transformer and how that's shaped the Energon universe as a whole. It really feels right now like Transformers and the G.I. Joe side of things are what go hand in hand. And almost like Void Rivals feels very disconnected compared to how interconnected all of the G.I. Joe and Transformers stuff is at the moment. I'm kind of hoping that eventually they actually do more of a solid crossover between the two series and those sides of the universe, and who knows what they'll end up adding as time goes forward. But looking forward to this one. That's Duke number 3. Next up from Image, the last issue I got from them this week was World Tree. This is number 8. Honestly, this one's falling off a little bit for me. I think it's just confusing going from issue to issue. This is another one of those series, which I feel like is the case for a lot of modern comics, where they don't have a recap page. I feel like recap pages really do come in clutch, especially when there's so much going on in a series like this. As of now, it's just kind of progressing all the ongoing plot threads we've already had going on. There's these group of programmers who are able to create some kind of like world-ending virus that can control people's minds, force them to kill people, called World Tree. They were able to subdue it, but now, many years later in the present, it's come back to a head. So it's involving the government, all these different moving factors, as well as the original team of programmers coming back together. And the CEO of like this tech company that was pretty much the direct one responsible for everything that happened. I don't know, it's hard for me to care as much about characters when it really feels like everything is so disjointed, and I don't have much of a sense of the recap. So honestly, I might drop this one. It was off to a really strong start. Last year I really liked the first story arc, but it's losing me in the second one. We'll see about that one though. Let me know what your thoughts are, if you feel the same way about that series as I do. Next up, though, let's move on to Marvel Comics. I've got 3 issues from them, starting with Avengers Twilight number 3. This one has been pretty good so far. I just like these kind of Elseworld superhero comics that really take kind of an ambitious idea like this and go all the way with it, since they have whatever creative control that they want with this. This is Chip Zdarsky's first Marvel comic in a few months, I want to say. I mean, this is all he's doing for them right now. He's more of a DC guy now with Batman, right? Daniel Acuña's artwork is pretty cool in here. Definitely kind of a crazy style. The panels look pretty drastically different from each other at certain times. There's not really much line work, which is interesting. I feel like it just kind of colors bleeding into each other. This has to do with an old Steve Rogers who lives in an America that's very controlled by the government, in which heroes are like these heroes are like controlled by corporations, by the government. So they're not really actually serving the common good of the people in the same way that Captain America and the original Avengers used to. So it has to do with Captain America joining forces with like this older Luke Cage, as well as these other people that are part of the same movement as him, and going up against like Tony Stark and the Wasp's son. So interesting dynamics. Like, it hasn't really been wowing me necessarily, but I still have faith that this could get a lot better as it goes on. Chip Zdarsky is great with Elseworld stuff. Spider-Man, Spider Shadow, Spider-Man Life Story. He's never written any Avengers stuff as far as I know, so maybe that's why it's not quite standing out as much as those series did, but we'll see about this one. Next up from Marvel Comics, one of my favorite ongoing series from them, we've got Miles number 17. Solid cover here by Federico Vicentini. As far as I know, this is just kind of a bridge issue between Gang War and whatever's happening in the next issue, which is going to be number 300 in legacy numbering. So they're doing a huge oversized issue for that. They're like bringing in, I think, some of the original Miles artists, so like Sarah Pichelli, and a couple other people are going to be drawing that one. But we've got Rabble coming in back as a big player with this series. I'm liking that Miles has kind of a main villain ever since Cody Ziegler took up writing duties for Miles. That's been something that he's kind of been lacking for a long time. Sometimes he'll have like, kind of recurring villains, but never one that's like super unique to only Miles, because he also shares a lot of the same villains, obviously, with Peter. And it's good to see him breaking into his own corner of the Marvel Universe with this. It looks like we got Mayor Cage involved, so this should be probably pretty heavily dealing with Gang War aftermath, which I didn't read the main Gang War series. I've just been getting the Miles tie-ins. Hopefully I can follow everything that happens here, but looking forward to next month's issue for sure. Last one I got from Marvel Comics this week, though. This is Carnage #4. I actually already dropped this one. I just knew that the story arc of, this first chapter of the Carnage story was ending with #4. Next month, they're doing like a crossover with the Venom series, so that's honestly one of the main reasons I dropped it, because I'm not buying Venom. Marvel really likes to try to get you to pick up extra issues during crossovers like that, so I didn't fall for it this time. But it's honestly not been that bad of a run in general. My favorite part of this is just that Flash Thompson is involved. He's one of my favorite characters. I loved the original Agent Venom story arc. That entire like Rick Remender, Cullen Bunn run. But now he is Agent Anti-Venom. He's been resurrected and everything. He's been in kind of a weird status ever since Donny Cates' run, and I think it was the end of King in Black that he originally came back. He's just been kind of a supporting character in Carnage-related events, anything that has to do with Venom. He occasionally will pop up here and there, but doesn't really have much of a solid place in the Marvel Universe. So it's cool to see Torun Grunbeck, the writer on this one, kind of bringing him in and giving him more of a purpose at the very least. It has to do with Carnage coming back to Earth after having stolen the powers from all these gods across the multiverse in the last Carnage run. And what he's doing with that now is like building a cult following on Earth and really embracing his role like as a god to normal people. Crazy looking artwork in here, I will say. So, we'll see how they wrap up the story arc. I'm not sure what the long-term plan is for this one. I don't know how much longer they're going to keep this like years-long Carnage story going, because they've been doing a lot with the character recently, right? So we'll see about that. That's Carnage #4. Lastly, though, this was a shelf buy for me. I didn't know that they were going to be doing a reprint of this one, but this is Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, #1 by IDW, right? So I haven't bought anything by IDW in a really long time. I know they do a lot of like licensing comics, like they do TMNT. I want to say like Sonic the Hedgehog and stuff like that for the most part, but this is one of their original series that came out recently. Has been totally blowing up lately. I think the actual first print of the first issue is worth like a good chunk of money. I don't actually know too much about this. I think it has to do with some kind of like murderous animal, so it's maybe kind of like a psychological thriller, psychological horror type thing. And I'm liking the artwork in here. It's like almost kind of a children's book style, but with like some interesting watercolors. I'm definitely excited to read this. I really don't know much about the synopsis, like I said, but yeah, there's some violent pages in here. Definitely not for kids, even if it might look like it in the cover. If you've been picking this up, I'm curious to know what your thoughts are down in the comment section below. But those were the 6 issues I picked up this week. I want to know what you guys got, though. What are you excited to read this week down in the comments? I'm definitely curious about Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees and the Energon universe, everything following up there. That's about it for me this week, though, and I'll see you guys in the next haul. Bye, guys.